session of the day one. And so we are almost halfway through day one, and I'm sure all of you have got a chance to learn about a lot of fantastic organizations. Joining us for this session, we have Rishi Jalan from the Big Red Group. A Big Red Group runs lots of interesting leadership programs which are conducted by universities like Stanford, Yale, Harvard, and other top colleges from the world. And Rishi is going to share with us about these programs. Before we get going, let me share with you a little bit about Rishi. Rishi is a graduate from Cornell University, where he majored in economics and government, and competed for the Cornell squash team for 4 years. He is also a graduate from Mayo College and Phillips Academy, Andover, USA, where he won the New England champion and was named the All-Scholastic Athlete by the Boston Globe. He is a national level squash player and loves to explore new eateries and write short stories. He also writes blogs for dailies like the Huffington Post, Economic Times, and the Times of India. A very warm welcome to you, Rishi. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Devesh. Really looking forward to this presentation, and hopefully we can make this session a little interactive. So yeah, looking forward for the opportunity.
Superb. And for all those who are joining us, the students, there is a chat box there. So feel free to post your your questions through the Q&A feature, and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. And this session is also being recorded, which is going to go live on our YouTube channel. So the recording will be there. Feel free to watch that later. With that, I think we are ready. Rishi, over to you.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Devesh, for that wonderful introduction. I would request someone from your team maybe to help me with the Q&A because I'm not really able to see my screen with the sharing. But moving forward, really excited, guys. Thank you so much. Before I sort of talk about the Big Red Group, talk about our ethos, our mission, our vision, and what we're trying to do in the education space here, I would like to talk and give a little bit background about myself. And you'll get to know about the Big Red Group and how it sort of came in after that. So as Devesh told you, I went to a boarding school in India called Mayo College for a long part of my high school career. After that, I used to play squash for India for a long time. So I played the Asian Games, I played the World Championships, and that sort of led me to a boarding school in the US called Phillips Academy, which is one of the top boarding schools around the world. This is a place where sort of all the George Bushes, Mark Zuckerberg, all sort of have studied. And I got an opportunity to really have a deep dive into what all is possible when you are in high school. I know some of the speakers before me, from Lumiere to Learn with Leaders, have all sort of talked to you about research work, about how important it is to think critically, to write effectively, right? And so these were some of the traits that I did not have when I was in grade 11 and 12. And because of Phillips Academy, I really got a sense of what all is possible. After I graduated from Phillips Academy, I got an opportunity to, of course, visit around 20 to 25 Ivy League colleges as a recruited athlete. And in the end, I fell in love with Cornell, which was my home for the next 4 years, where I had a double major in economics and government, and at the same time did a minor in international relations. The reason for me to start the Big Red Group really was that I personally thought that high school was very boring for me. I think there were so many things that it made me hate, like history, like English literature, research work, all of these buzzwords that are so common now, was something that was missing from our school curriculum, right? And so when I went, actually my first trip to the US was to Harvard, where I actually attended the Harvard YLC program, which I'll talk about. And when I was with such a diverse group of students, I thought to myself, why not bring some of the best educational programs from around the world to Indian students, right? And that was sort of the foundation of the Big Red Group and the ethos that we sort of have related to all our programs. So as you can see on the screen here, we started in 2016. We have, specially curated workshops that we do with more than 10 schools. So far, more than 3,000 students have done our programs. And of course, with personalized mentoring as well, our students have gone to more than 600 colleges around the world. So as I said, these are sort of two statements that I live by, which is, of course, number one is our mission, which is to aspire to bring knowledge, inspiration, and educational excellence for the development of young adults across the globe, specifically in India. And with that mission, of course, our vision is to just make sure that we are nurturing young minds, the young adults that you all are today, who will shape our global world moving forward. So the one thing that we like to always begin with saying that, of course, we want to be that organization which goes, which is into education beyond classroom, right? And we are really, what we're trying to do here is help young students like yourself really realize their true potential. So whether that's in entrepreneurship, in leadership, whether that's robotics, whether we talk about effective writing, smart money, which is, talking about financial literacy. We want all of these different aspects which go beyond your classroom education to come together to make sure that, you have a sense of what's happening around the world, be competent with true global leaders, and make your mark in the world moving forward. So as I've been talking about it, some of the things that we make sure that our students really learn is how to think critically. I think that's the number one thing that I would tell all young students out here. I think, when we talk about coding, we talk about languages, we talk about so many other things. I think the number one trait, if you ask me, what you really need to do in today's world is how to think critically and how to build, right? If you have these two aspects covered in your education, you can achieve anything that you want, right? How to build from scratch, as I said, how to take risks and experiment with different, programs, with different things in your life, and then, of course, how to lead effectively. Moving forward, I'm really excited about specifically about these two programs, which I'm going to talk about. The number one program is, of course, a lot of you might have heard of it, called Harvard Youth Lead the Change. This is a program that I did back in 2008 when I was a young high schooler back in Boston. This is a program which has been developed by three organizations at Harvard. So it's by professors from the business school, the Harvard Business School, the Harvard Law School, and the Harvard School of Education, and is taught completely by Harvard graduate and undergraduate students. These are all trained mentors, who might be a little older, maybe 28, 29, have served in the army, in Israel, in everywhere, but are still current graduate students. And they are the ones who work with our students for a week-long program to talk about social change, to talk about what are some of the things that you can accomplish moving forward in the realm of, societal changes that you can bring in. One big part of all of our programs that we do is that we do not believe in a teacher-student relationship, but it's more about a mentor-mentee relationship. So with all of our programs, and I'll talk about how it's different, is that it's not just a one-week program that we run with you all. So when I talk about Harvard Youth Lead the Change program, after the 1 week of the program and it ends, you also get a 1 year of mentorship with these Harvard mentors moving forward. So whether that's personal project that you're working on, whether that's a group project that you made during the YLC program, you actually get to work with your mentors for a period of 1 year, where we see a lot of change happen in a very consistent, protracted period of time. With every program, and this is something that we delved on a lot, is that, of course, we when students come in and do a program, they're so excited about it. They really want to make change. And in all of our programs, especially because of COVID, to give you some sense, our kids we have around 100, 125 students for their Harvard YLC program, and they come from more than 70 cities across the country and more than 6 to 7 countries around the world, right? So the kind of diversity which you get from especially the Harvard YLC program is immense. And that's what we want to make sure that during every day of any of our programs that you go through, you make sure that you're really in touch with your mentor, you have that relationship with them, and you take that forward. So anyone who is really interested in making social change is ready to work in an intensive environment with your mentors for a long time. That is the program that is for you. Coming to my second favorite program, well, all of my favorites, because we put a lot of effort into it, is something on entrepreneurship. So again, there are, entrepreneurship is such a hot buzzword today in the Indian ecosystem. And what, again, with all of our programs, as I said, what we thought was, why not bring the best entrepreneurs from around the world who have been to Ivy League colleges, right? And get them to talk about their entrepreneurial journey, talk about their brands, what they have made. So there are companies like, I don't know if you guys have used, made an app on a company called Thunkable, or we have, this girl from MIT who started, who makes sanitary pads out of banana fiber. It was a project that came out of the MIT Innovation Lab. So we get mentors like these to come in. So we have around 13 mentors who come in and deliver sessions around 90 minutes to 120 minutes and really move forward with students from ideation to the final project in 7 days. Again, a really intensive program. The flow really begins with ideation on day 1. There's market research on day 2. You work on marketing, you work on your financial business models, and towards the end, you work on pitching your business idea. Again, the hope is with all of our programs is that the knowledge that you receive is not just theoretical, right? So when you're entering the entrepreneurship program, what we do is we divide groups, students into groups of 5 to 6 students. We make sure that we give you 15 to 16 problem statements, right? These problem statements can be on how to make lives of pet owners a lot better, right? How do you make parenting easier? How do you make education more accessible? How do you solve the waste management problem? And then all of these teams come in on day 1 and they choose one particular problem that they want to solve. And throughout the course of their 1-week journey, what happens is that students really work in these groups and make sure that every day when we're talking about ideation or when we're doing market research, you actually do market research for the idea that as a group that you've decided on, right? And towards the end of 7 days, you actually pitch your business idea in front of our consultants. One big part of the early entrepreneurship program also is that we offer internship, again, working on our model of making sure that we're not losing touch with our students, is that we make sure that there is an internship that is provided to all of the students with our consortium of mentors or with more than 100 companies that we have on board who sort of want to work with young adults like yourself. So again, the process of mentoring continues, the process of internship continues, and we really make sure that all the theoretical knowledge that you are receiving on a day-to-day basis really gets transformed into a super cool product or a service moving forward. So again, both of these programs are week-long. They're really intensive. I do want to point that out with all of our programs that we make sure that we do a lot of work together, but they're not like sort of boring texts that you have to read or boring, sort of research work that you have to do. But it's very interesting, especially when you're working with kids from all around the world, all around the country. It makes it even more exciting. Moving forward, again, jumping in on the entrepreneurship realm, we also figured out that, listen, a 1-week program on entrepreneurship is cool, but how do you take that a step forward? We have all of these interesting projects that come out after day 7, but again, how do you take that forward? And because of that reason, we thought of working on this project called the Young Business Academy. And what this program is that we work with individual students one-on-one, where you have weekly hackathons. You're working with as I said, one-on-one mentor to make sure that if you have an idea related to your project, what you really want to solve, there's one problem that you really want to solve, you have an idea, but you don't know where to start. In 180 days, in 6 months, we make sure that from that idea that you have, we actually make sure that you get your first paying client. Right? It's not an easy thing that we are trying to do here, but we do work with students, and a lot of them have come with some interesting projects. Like, there's this girl from Hyderabad who's worked on, a project called Ooty, where they're trying to sell tea from, tea plantations in Ooty. There are, do-it-yourself gardening kits that some kids are working on. There is actually a project that came out where the students are designing and are working on a student organization, which helps other student organizations spread their word and product their services. So it's a very cool project. Again, intensive. If there is an idea that you have and you want to take it to the next level, and again, a very intensive 6-month program that you want to enroll in, this is something that will really interest you. Again, we're talking about money, we're talking about entrepreneurship, which brings us to our sort of 4th program, which is the Smart Money Camp. Out here, what we've done is we have worked with professors from Stanford, from Wharton, and from different colleges around the world to really Indianize smart money and financial literacy for Indian students. This is a program that we're going to be running in the month of October, which is again to tell students not just about stock markets, but really telling them about what is the difference between a need and a want, right? How do you make better financial decisions, even as a high schooler, right? So it's a very specially curated course. It's taken us more than a year, but again, really excited to run a financial literacy program for Indian students, which is really Indianized. You really talk about, as I said, from making sure what, responsible financial decisions are, to a little bit of taxes, which we hopefully should not be boring, a live sort of portfolio game that we play with kids in terms of stock market. We also work with them in terms of what loan structures are, what you can do actually right after you graduate high school, right? When you're getting into college, what are some of the ways that you will save money? How do you spend money? How do you make better financial decisions? And of course, hopefully in the end, have some financial stability and independence. So that's, again, as I said, a 5-day workshop. We worked really hard with professors from around the world, and there's a dedicated team of financial investors who will actually be teaching this program. Again, a very exciting time for all the high schoolers. But while I'm talking about these programs, I'm really getting FOMO of why am I not in high school again? But hopefully, while teaching, while being part of these programs, hopefully we are learning something every day as well. I do know that you have another talk by Extra View, which is Catherine and Kavita. So we are actually working with them to actually do a very cool 2-day workshop on interview and essay prep. A lot of people, of course, do not know how to really put their ideas forward, how to put their thinking forward in a very coherent manner, right? Especially, I know a lot of students are interested in going and applying to the best universities abroad. Just a quick example about myself. When I wrote my Common App essay, which has to be really personal, I talked about how people are taking over, like the internet is really taking over our attention spans, and how I like to connect individually with each person. And that became my Common App essay that I submitted to Cornell. Again, with this 2-day workshop, what we really intend on doing is making sure that every student really gets the best tips on what were some of the best essays that got kids into, again, schools like Harvard, Stanford, Yale, right? So we actually have a full packet of resources that we help and engage with students, and really make sure that the entire interview process, whether that's for the UK, for the US, is really put down in a condensed manner for them to understand how to move forward with their writing and even their interview skills. Moving forward on our last program, which is again really exciting, is something on health wearable tech or on robotics. So what we've done is we've tied up with the top innovation school in the world, which is called Nuvu Studios, based out of Cambridge, in the heart of Boston, nestled between Harvard and MIT. And this was a company which was started by 2 PhDs from MIT who wanted to bring on really revolutionary change and bring in architecture, robotics, and combine it all together to, again, solve problems in the real world. So we have a robotics program on health wearable tech and on biomimetic motion. It might sound a little confusing, but bear with me. In health wearable tech, of course, students, as you can see out here on the slide, students really focus to develop the next generation on health-focused wearables, right? So today is the world of Fitbits and Apple Watches. What is sort of the next health wearable technology that you would want to work on? And so students really get to design, build, prototype their designs in this workshop. And a second workshop that we have related to robotics is on biomimetic motion. What that workshop really does is we take inspiration from nature. So you've taken inspiration from, I don't know if you know, I'll name a few, insects and animals, but there's something called a mantis, or of course, an octopus or a butterfly. And how do you take inspiration from animals like these and make better robots, right? Who again will solve real life problems. To give you an example, very cool. There is an animal in California, which is an armadillo, right? So armadillos have this superb capacity of keeping themselves really cool in really high temperatures. So students really work on researching on these particular, different animals, and making sure that how can our parts or our sort of buildings can be better designed, keeping the armadillo principle in mind, right? How can you make, especially in a hot country like India, without air conditioning or without fans, how can you still make sure that we are breathing good air? How are we making sure that our living spaces or our educational spaces are cool enough, right? So it's a very cool workshop that we are working with Nuvu Studios on. So these are the 6 workshops that we have. In the end, I would also like to say that we have a lot of cool free webinars, lined up for students. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I will share information on the Big Red Group, where we are bringing in professors from around the world to talk about negotiation, to talk about design thinking, to talk about geopolitics, about feminism, about the diversity of history, culture, and politics. So a lot of cool and interesting things that are lined up as well. And hopefully through all of these personalized programs, we make sure that a lot of students benefit, moving forward. One more thing before I sort of stop my spiel. I've been talking for a long time and would love to hear, some comments and questions from all of you. Is that, within the Big Red Group and what we are planning to do out here, we really believe in the concept of Ikigai. And that's what I would tell all of the students and mentors who are here present today to really work on. So for some of you who don't know, Ikigai is a Japanese principle which talks about 4 elements of how to be a successful person in today's 21st century world, right? And this was a concept developed maybe 7 to 8 centuries back, but it's very prevalent. So it talks about, number 1, what you're really passionate about. Number 2, what you're really good at. Number 3, what the world needs at this point of time. And number 4, on how to make sure that you make money through doing what you're good at. So once you combine all of these 4 elements, you really reach your Ikigai. And we really hope that through all the programs, all the personalized programs that we have developed, we have worked on, we hope that every student, every mentor really finds his or her true Ikigai and works forward from there. So again, I'm not going to talk much more. As you can see, we do work on a holistic approach. It's really personalized. As I said, we really work with each student. We make sure that our group class sizes are really small. All of our programs that happen have a 15 to 1 student to mentor ratio. So to give you an example, even in the Harvard program where we have 125 kids, or in our early entrepreneurship program where we have 100 students, we make sure that we have 13 mentors or 15 mentors from Harvard at the same time in different project groups working with you. So never do we want to make you feel that you're just part of the herd. We really want to make sure that we listen to all of your stories, really personalize each and every program, and really work with you, moving forward in a personalized approach. So that's it from my side. I really enjoyed listening to my voice, but I really enjoyed talking to you all. I would really thank Devesh and everyone from the Next Genius group to make sure that you're really curating some amazing stuff, getting everyone together on one platform, and that's amazing. And so with that, thank you, and would love to take in some questions at this point in time.
Thank you so much, Rishi, for that presentation and for sharing so much about your programs. I enjoyed listening to your voice, to your session. And I have a couple of questions. First one is, which age groups or which classes is these programs most relevant for?
Oh, amazing. Sorry, I sort of, I think, forgot to mention it, but all of our programs are specially curated and designed for kids from grade 8 to 12. Now, we really tried hard and made sure that, because I personally believe that when a student reaches grade 8 or grade 9, you don't have to dumb down anything. A lot of parents and counselors ask me this question: wouldn't it be better, when to do this program when you're in grade 11 or grade 12? I think life takes over, just like life takes over for us as well. I think the older you get, even in high school, you get a lot busier. So I always believe, and I've always followed this in my life as well. I learned an instrument. I did horse riding. I sing. I did debating in school. I did maybe 10 to 12 things. So another sort of gyan that, the last thing that I would want to tell you is, in today's world, I'm sure everyone has heard of be a jack of all and master of none. I think I would sort of, amend that quote and say, be a jack of all and a master of one. So my master of one probably was squash, that led me to all these amazing opportunities. I'm a Davis World Scholar as well. And all of these opportunities wouldn't have been possible if I didn't go off as a scholarship student, right? So squash gave that opportunity for me. But at the same time, I did try my things in 10 to 12 different things when I was in school. And that sort of helped me, I think, become a better person. Empathy is another word which is thrown out a lot. So yeah, so all of our programs really are for grades 8 to 12 students, coming back to your actual question.
Fantastic, superb. Thank you so much, Rishi. We are almost coming to the end of the session. And as we move to the end, I'll quickly share a couple of resources with all our students. Resource number one is our YouTube channel, the link to which we'll add in the chat. And in the YouTube, you will find some very interesting and relevant content related to things like what to study at college, how to get into some of the top colleges. Maybe we'll interview Rishi also on how he got into one of the best colleges abroad. And the second resource is our Instagram account, which you can follow and sort of see, again, a lot of interesting things happening over there. So just check out these two things. And we do have a couple more events coming up. We have the Research Symposium, which we are doing in collaboration with Lumiere Education, which is on August 6th. If you have not already signed up for it, you can sign up for it using this link on our website. And then for all of you who are interested in studying medicine abroad, we have a session coming up on studying medicine abroad. With that, we are coming.
One thing I did see a question there on gap year student, right? Just to let you know, like, I was a gap year student as well, but during my gap year, I was still studying in the US. But whoever is out here, and hopefully, this is sort of a contentious topic, but I do encourage all of the students to take a gap year. And today, especially the universities in the US are really liberal. And you can defer your admission, right? So you can get in, you can apply, and then you can say, thank you, but maybe I'll see you next year. And why colleges let you do it is because, of course, they feel that if you're good enough to go to the university with the skill set you have already, after 1 year, you're going to come back even stronger. So I really do believe that 16, 17 is too young to go to college. So again, I would really want all of the students to really think about taking a year off. Not to just chill and relax, but to really, again, do things, travel, do research work, really work on an internship with all your heart. And those will lead to amazing things moving forward when you start your college career, because, you'll be much smarter, you'll be more confident, and you've sort of seen the real world before you sort of move on from one small cocoon of high school to another cocoon of college. So, yeah.
Super. Thank you so much, Rishi, for sharing that. And there are questions about scholarships as well. So can you very briefly tell us if there are any scholarships for your program that students can apply for?
Of course. So, we do offer a lot of scholarships for our programs, but they are on sort of need based. rather than merit-based. So till the time there is a financial constraint that is there for students, feel free to email us. And we always make sure that we offer some sort of partial scholarship, to the students who really need it. So of course, when you do come from private schools, we do not really allow scholarships, but especially kids who are coming from sort of government schools or schools which are not that well off, we do make sure that there is scholarship provided.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rishi, for sharing all that, and thank you for your time on today's call. It was a pleasure learning more about the programs, the fantastic programs that you're running. And I'm sure many of these students will reach out to you in the coming days to learn more about them and to participate in the programs that are being offered.
Thank you so much once again. It was a pleasure and hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.